Smart. Honorable members, Madam Speaker.
Prayers.
Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of humanity, we beseech you to look upon with your abundant favor these your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important trusts in this land. Let your blessing descend upon them here assembled, and grant that they may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under their deliberation in such just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to their charge. Amen.
Item number 2, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, I want to thank you so much for coming for today's session and for the commitment you have for your country and your people, your voters. Thank you for coming and working for our nation. I have a polite reminder here that I've got from Clerk's office. This is a reminder that all ordinary official and diplomatic machine readable passports will no longer be after 2nd April. You are therefore urged to replace the old readable ones with the new international East African e-passports. This applies to all categories above. That is the diplomatic, the ordinary, and then official. Please get in touch with the protocol section in room 114 South Wing if you've not made any transition and have your passports changed. We don't want to get an embarrassment that our member of parliament was conscripted somewhere. Yesterday, I was telling somebody, can we travel? And the member didn't have a passport. Members, get your passport changed for convenience. I want to thank you so much. And you can have matters of national importance. Honorable Dur.
Thank you.
Maybe before Honorable Dur comes on board, the Minister of Local Government has requested me, he wants to have a day session with all members of parliament, and we discuss issues of parish model. Hmm? Isn't that good for you? You bring in your ideas, you share ideas. We'll put a tent outside there and we have a whole day of discussion. That is an inclusion in the process. Honorable Dur.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is an urgent matter under Rule 49, and I thank you for admitting it. The Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries has a project called the Agriculture Cluster Development Project, which is being implemented in a number of selected districts, including Lira district, where I come from. This project has contracted a number of farmers to supply them inputs, specifically the cassava cuttings, which happened last year, but up to date, the ministry has not paid the farmers who supplied these cassava cuttings. The farmers come from Lira, some from Aleptong district, others from Dokoro district, and part of Kabera Maido. Madam Speaker, I've also learned that in other parts of the country, the same has happened. And these farmers have children who go to school. Some of them fell sick and some lives have been lost because they cannot afford treatment. And their basic needs require money. They have fulfilled their obligation to supply, but the ministry has not paid. It is not because the ministry does not have money. Madam Speaker, I've learned that the ministry has money. This project is funded by the World Bank and money is lying idle at the Ministry of Agriculture. My prayers is that, Madam Speaker, you require the minister responsible for agriculture to expeditiously process the payment so that these farmers get their money. But in the alternative, without prejudice to my first prayer, I'll give you information. I also ask you, Madam Speaker, to direct the Committee on Agriculture to interest themselves into what is happening with this project. Otherwise, the country stands to lose to have money which is given to us and is not being used. I will give my brother Silwani to provide information.
Thank you, honorable colleague, for giving way. The important information I want to give the honorable colleague and this honorable house is that as we talk today, most of the projects in MAIF, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, have stalled. The ministry has money, but implementation is not being done and nothing is going on. I think there is a lot of bureaucracy that has increased in this ministry, either by the technical people or where, but there are projects that are not moving and everything is at a stall, at a standstill. So that is the information I wanted to give the honorable member, that is not only that project, but many other projects under MAIF are actually very, very stuck. So we need an urgent attention of this house.
Thank you for that information.
Thank you, colleague. Right, Honorable Speaker, 2-3 weeks ago, we interfaced with the Minister of Agriculture. The challenge in the Ministry of Agriculture, right, Honorable, is the current PS is the former commandant of Chankwans. And to say the minister is going to, when we were interfacing with the committee, right, Honorable Speaker, the PS was clear. He said they are pushing me to pay, but I have to take my time and really understand some of it, because it seems some people supply the air. Now, by the time the PS proves whether people supply the air or not, those will be 3 years. But this is a general with the PS, right, Honorable. So that is the challenge in Ministry of Agriculture. It may require another voice beyond the minister coming, because the minister is going to come here. Honorable Chakulaga was there. He will come and he will give the same story ministers have always given. But if we have to push, right, Honorable, it requires another voice beyond there.
I implore you to use your authority to prevail over the ministry, because these farmers are really suffering, as I told you. They need to access their money. They have done their part and they can't be verified. I will not come back, but
Much, Madam Speaker.
Are you done with your prayers?
I'm just adding
Yes,
something,
Rose.
please. Yeah, thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, recently we got maize seeds from NADS. Previously, NADS gave us 3,000 kilograms, but it's so painful that from 3,000, NADS has come down to 2,000. Yet the 3,000 for us women MPs and the MPs, it was so difficult to give this. I visited NADS office. I can tell you the ED is totally suffocated unless this parliament takes an initiative to see what is happening in Ministry of Agriculture. It's more than what we can swallow. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, as it is said, that agriculture is a backbone of Uganda. And all what is being said is failing. There is an underabsorption of funds. Honorable Jim, are you the chair of the House now? Can you keep quiet? The underabsorption in the Ministry of Agriculture is affecting the whole country. The rigidity that is in the ministry is affecting the whole country. And the PSCs should stop undermining our ministers. Because it's only a minister who knows what is required down there. The failure to pay these people who supply the cassava cuttings is a problem. Assuming these people go to court, what happens? Honorable Minister of Agriculture, we need a comprehensive report, because I also got a petition from Busoga on the same. We need a comprehensive report on what is happening with the payment. And then we also want to understand what is the criteria of giving somebody 2,000 kilos, a woman who is managing a whole constituency. And you're keeping money in an account that you're not spending. The budget committee should not approve the budget till the abuse of their money. How can you come and ask for a supplementary budget when you're failing to absorb what you have? That is the Ministry of Agriculture for you. And Committee of Agriculture, Committee of Agriculture, of suppliers, and then the rationing of the maize. And who tells you the whole country wants maize? For us, we don't want maize. Eh? They promised us horse here. The horse have not been there, but there is money on the account. Let them give us the horse. So I need that response in 1 week's time. Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Most obliged. We shall bring the report to the House. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. In the public gallery this afternoon, we have a delegation from the Worship House of Nansana. And these include Pastor Wilson Bugembe, the lead of delegation. Pastor, you're most welcome to Parliament of Uganda. We need a miracle. He says we need a miracle in this house. And this house is also a house of worship. We have Nalule Matovo, welcome. We have Alice Matama, welcome. And we have Muyamba Brenda. You're all most welcome. This is the Parliament of Uganda, and it's your parliament, a very holy parliament. but you continue praying for us. Honorable Mujiche.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I am concerned about the increase of fake products on the market. Madam Speaker, with an estimated 41 trillion of the budget, about 6 trillion is going to be lost in substandard products and counterfeits if this is not stopped. This also, Madam Speaker, is a threat to intellectual property, jeopardizes innovation, undermines legitimate business, and is a risk to consumer health and safety. Of course, given the weak regulatory standards and mechanisms, of course, high moral decadence and corruption, this culture has continued to grow. And whereas the Uganda National Bureau of Standards is implementing a series of guidelines known as pre-export verification and conformity standards, most companies under this program don't have presence in countries where these products come from. And subsequently, they just issue fake certificates. You find they have a certificate of conformity standards, but they have substandard products. Madam Speaker, also the PPDA process of awarding these contracts is marred by corruption. My prayers, Madam Speaker, is that there is need to investigate the capacity of all these contracted companies and how effective they are in providing this service of giving out these certificates of conformity by this Parliament. Two, that the relevant committee of Parliament should investigate the procurement procedure for these companies by Uganda National Bureau of Standards. I pray so, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Committee of Tourism and Trade, take an initiative to investigate this and report to the House. Yes.
Right Honorable Speaker, I thank you and I thank the honorable colleague for the important information that he has given the House. But would need to be procedural right for you to lay these documents so that we talk from an informed point of view. Honorable colleague, we need to be procedural right.
That's what the committee is going to do. So why are you getting work away from the committee? It is a concern and the committee is going to look at that. Cover hand, yes, Minister. Oh dear, you're most welcome today.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And the
Honorable members, order.
And the honorable member must be a lucky one to be welcomed by the Speaker in the House this
He's
afternoon.
coming to the House for the first time, that's why.
Madam Speaker, on the issue of counterfeit goods on the market, we will also, as the committee looks at the issues raised by Honorable Mujuche, we'll also be coming to the House to make a statement on the specific issues that he has raised, but also to inform the House that the ministry is in advanced stages in bringing to the House the counter.
Aisha wants a clarification.
Before, okay.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. May I know, Honorable Minister, whether in the same way we shall have the opportunity to know about the counterfeit COVID vaccine that was reported about by State House operations, which was discovered somewhere in a health center in Kaboa. From that time, we have not had anything. It was reported to be fake vaccine vaccinated to people in a government health center. And the proof was that the papers were wiping off, yet ordinarily they wouldn't. There's been total silence from government. Shall we also have the opportunity to get information about it?
We will want that from the Minister of Health. And for now, let's get this from the Minister of Tourism, Trade.
Okay, thank you. Madam Speaker, the information I wanted to give the House is that we are working out the Counterfeit and Consumer Protection Bill, which will be coming to the House in a few months from now. I think that will go a long way in having efforts to protect the consumers, but also ensure that the products that we produce in this country and those that are imported into this country are products of standard and meet a standard that humans can consume. So along the committee's work, we'll also be coming out with a bill to strengthen the regulation.
When shall we have the bill in the House?
We will
Clarification.
require, Madam Speaker, 2 months. Thank you.
Yes, Jane?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, as much as I appreciate the minister talking or initiating the process of bringing a bill, Madam Speaker, in the meantime, how do we protect the consumer? When you go to Chikubo, for example, or some shops in the suburbs of Kampala, a seller will boldly ask you, one time I wanted to buy a padlock. They asked me whether I wanted a genuine one or a fake one. And you know, I couldn't tell, so I asked them, give me both. I'm actually going to buy more than one. And I couldn't tell, for instance, a padlock, which one was. So a bill may take us about 1 month or 3 months. But in the meantime, how do we protect Ugandans? As a country, we are even losing a lot in terms of revenue because we are encouraging fake things, counterfeits.
Honorable members, I don't want you to be misled that there is a bill coming. The bill that is coming is by a private member. It is the private member who is bringing a bill on consumer protection. Government has not put an initiative in bringing this bill. Yes. Asuman?
Right Honorable Speaker, something small.
Asuman, then you.
Right Honorable Speaker, the minister, the Honorable Minister Bahati, should be very open to this House. Because, Right Honorable Speaker, in the 10th Parliament, there was a bill on counterfeit that Cabinet withdrew on the argument that there were already existing laws to deal with counterfeit. We protested, but they didn't listen. And I'm surprised that now the Honorable Minister is saying there is an intended bill. It's actually not there. Our argument at that time, and I hope that it is addressed this time, our argument at that time was that you cannot deal with counterfeit in different legislations, that it was necessary to have one uniform legislation dealing with counterfeits across board. You rejected the advice. So I really hope, and the member who is saying what happens to the Ugandans at this point in time is because there is a weak legal regime which you refused to implement, to address at that time, and that's why we are suffering. And that's why the Honorable Minister for Trade on our side is raising a substantive matter. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I hope that the Committee of Trade and the private member comes very quickly for us to address the gap. I'm not sure that government is determined to bring another law because the one they brought, they withdrew it themselves.
You know,
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Minister, I had already made a ruling
I wanted
that let this go to the Committee of Trade and Tourism. We want to understand how is the consumer protected? What do we do with these counterfeit products? And when do we have the law to do that? Committee, I've given them 2 weeks, yes?
Madam Speaker, 2 points. The Honorable Sumani says I need to be open to the House, and indeed I'm open to the House. I don't know whether you know what is in government, everything in government, but I'm telling you what's in government. We are working on consumer protection bill. So I don't know about whether you know everything there. The second point is what Honorable Jenny has raised, that in the meantime, what are we doing as we prepare for the bill? There are a number of steps we are taking to protect the consumer. The first one, we have the National Bureau of Standards, which is trying as much as possible to make sure that the standards are captured at the source of production or at importation. The second one is that when these products go into the market, some of them are fake. And we normally do enforcement and sampling of these products. But also we continue to educate the public that please do not buy anything that does not possess the sign of UNBS. And we're also moving ahead to put the Q codes that you can have a product on the shelf and use your iPhone where it is necessary to detect whether whether the sign of UNBS is correct or not correct. So those are some of the projects, but we shall inform the committee of the issues that the steps we are taking as they investigate the matter. Thank you.
Information.
Honorable Minister, all what you've said is what I expect you to take to the committee. Matchbox, you have something?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to appreciate the minister's effort that he's trying to make here, but I want to give him information that in Chikubo, if you are to go to Chikubo, the fake products we're talking of today, it includes UBL. UBL is our own company, and we do have fake product of all those ones are there in Chikubo. And remember, when the enforcers or when the Uganda UNBS comes to check the fake products in the market, what they normally do once they reach there, they find those customers having those products. They confiscate them without even compensating, because for them, they are just buyers. They buy from their suppliers. So we are wondering, where are they coming from? I want to feed Honorable Minister that information, that including our own Uganda Waraji has a fake product. That's the information I wanted to give. It will kill our country. That's the information I wanted to give my Honorable Minister here.
You know, she's talking from authority because she's a businesswoman with the Waraji. Katesh.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Order.
I think the issue of counterfeit and the fake goods on the market is not new. This House has talked about it. Indeed, there is an existing law under the East African Community Customs Management Act that prohibits counterfeit of all forms. What is failing us is the implementation as usual. We have got companies which were contracted to undertake pre-shipment inspection. What we would expect the government to do is to give us a performance report. Since we started contracting these companies, how has the situation changed? Because what we are seeing on the market is that despite the expenditure that has been made over the years, these products continue to come, and the goods come with certificates. So what is the performance of these companies? And why do we actually need to get foreign companies to do this job? Why don't we equip the Bureau of Standards and we strengthen them to actually undertake this mandate? Since we are talking of import substitution and trying to empower Ugandans. So, Honorable Minister,
I think we are falling short of implementation. We need a comprehensive performance assessment of what has happened over the last 10 years since these companies have been performing this pre-shipment inspection. I
Thank
submit.
you. Tourism, we need a report in 2 weeks' time to that effect, a thorough analysis of what is happening. And Noah, Musa Noah. Yes.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have informed this House, and we have all heard from the radio that it is counterfeit vaccines. And we know how important people's lives are and its effect in the circulation. Is it not procedure right, Madam Right Honorable Speaker, that you equally direct the Minister for Health to give us a report on the fake vaccines that were reported in circulation and what they did about them? Thank you.
Honorable Aisha, I thought I'd made a directive. I don't know whether you're still in the same house. I said the Minister of Health must handle that. And by saying that, that is a directive. Noah?
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise under Rule 49 to raise a matter of urgent national importance regarding the training or the phasing off of the comprehensive nurse cadre. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, this comprehensive enrolled nurse cadre was introduced in the country in 1993, 1994, at a time when we had a very critical shortage of human resource for health. This particular cadre is trained in multiple skills of nursing. However, there has been challenges in this cadre getting recruited with public service of this country. And there were debates to phase it out. Until this year, Ministry of Education took a decision to phase off comprehensive nurse training, both in certificate and diploma. According to the Commissioner of Business, Technical and Vocational Education Training in Ministry of Education, Dr. Safina Musena, he noted that employers find the course irrelevant, and the Ministry of Education also found the course redundant, given that the Business, Technical, Vocational Training Education is now World War driven. And therefore, no new candidates will be recruited for this training or will be admitted for the training of comprehensive nurse effective this particular academic year. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, unfortunately, training schools continue to admit students for the course, especially in diploma. I have the government admission with me, honorable colleagues, in which Soroti School of Comprehensive Nursing has admitted over about 160 students to do diploma in comprehensive nurse. And then I also have admission for Masakak School of Comprehensive Nurse, where 80 students have been admitted to pursue this course. And I have a copy of an admission where the admission reads in part, the course will commence on a date that will be announced after clearance from the Ministry of Education and Sports. Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, Ministry of Education seems to be going against its own announcement of phasing out this course. And this may be due to the pressure from the training schools. Yet we know these Ugandans who train in this particular course will not be able to get employment. And soon public service will go ahead and structure it completely and they will not be employed. So I just wanted, my prayers are one, Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to lay this on the table.
What are you laying on the table?
The admissions. Yeah.
What are you
Let me
laying?
just want to lay.
No, what are you laying? We don't just receive papers like that.
Okay. Thank you. So my prayers. One is the Minister of Education need to clarify why they should go ahead training or allow the nurse training schools to go ahead and train this cadre, when actually they've communicated, they've made pronouncement that it's phased off because the cadre is now irrelevant. Secondly, Minister of Education need to direct these training institutions to give these students alternative courses that matches their scores in A level and courses that are relevant to the work, our world of work. Thirdly, Minister of Education should provide, Minister of Education together with Minister of Health need to develop an abridged course for all those who trained in comprehensive nurse. Because now these nurses will have to go back to school to train again because they're not going to fit in nursing or midwifery. And soon now this cadre is going to be phased off. Therefore, it is important to design an abridged course for them to specialize either in nursing or in the midwifery. Thank you. I beg to submit.
Thank you. What was that you're laying on table?
The admission lists and the admission.
Where did it come from?
I got this from Ministry of Education website.
Is it authenticated?
Sorry? Yes, from Ministry of Education
Is
website.
it signed and stamped from, you know, we don't go on a fishing expedition, fishing for documents. So if it is not authenticated, then we'll require that information from the minister.
Oh, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Minister of Education, the issue is, why are you phasing out these courses? What is the mischief that you're trying to clear?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues. Indeed, it is true, the human capital development for health is handled by the Ministry of Education and Sports. The training for all categories of health workers. This particular course, the comprehensive nursing that my colleague talked about, indeed, this training started some years back.
What does a comprehensive nurse do? Because for us, we are not doctors like you.
They handle both the nursing and the midwifery part, but not in a comprehensive manner, in a way that the course for nursing takes 2.5 years, and the course for midwifery equally takes 2.5 years. This is at certificate level in a nursing and midwifery school, but the comprehensive handles the two within the same period. And eventually it was found out that this does not provide the right competence, the skills.
Information. Clarification.
There is a clarification.
The comprehensive does not only have.
She's a nurse, by the way. She's a nurse. You hear from her.
The comprehensive does not only address midwifery and nursing, it puts community health as well, and the pediatrics and the psychiatry. And all these courses, if they are addressed one by one, they take 2.5 years per course. So all of them have been put together, and that's why it has been discovered that the midwifery part, which is the most essential, is lacking out of the comprehensive. I guess that's why the Ministry of Education had to stop the course. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, Doctor.
Madam Speaker, we cannot go into the nitty-gritty of the teaching like pediatric, public health, other departments. That's why I summarize nursing and midwifery. But just like my colleague said, they are detailed, which we cannot exhaust here, but need be, we can bring and explain into detail. But in summary, Madam Speaker, this course now is being phased off such that we continue with only nursing and midwifery separately.
And the nursing brings all the components of midwifery, everything. Or it is-
Nursing is nursing. You provide nursing. Midwifery, you deal with deliveries, antenatal care, immunization, issues, specialized maternal delivery and the baby.
So what are you doing now with the people who have been trained before?
So people who have been trained, they normally go back to study to get to bridge that gap that they missed in midwifery before some of them are fully recruited into public service. Even then, the scheme of service had not captured that categories. But what we are now doing is to phase off.
Yes, Avoro.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for asking one of the questions that I wanted to get clarification from the minister. We already have those that have been trained purportedly now. My understanding is that they are half-baked and are being deployed in various health centers, facilities in this country. And therefore putting Ugandans, especially mothers, at a very great risk. So the question is, what are you going to do with them? The minister has partly answered that they are going to be retrained. I would like the minister to inform this House and the country at whose cost. And also to tell this parliament, how many are they of such half-baked nurses in our facilities? And where are they? And as you weed them out, what happens to mothers who are now in different health facilities, laboring now, or going to labor next month, or going to, what are we doing?
Rasta.
I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. In the same vein to the minister, some of us are even victims, rather our children. But the most important issue I wanted to raise, and the minister should answer to the country, one is the hullabaloo at the Nurses Council, especially when it comes to licensing these younger people. My own children had to miss out on the adverts because it takes about 1 or so years to get licensing. The next issue which the minister should answer, the male midwives, Madam Speaker, male midwives, and I have one around. I have been informed that they have now been faced off. Certainly it is quite very unique to have a male midwife, which they have faced off, but what do we do with those already trained? I beg to move, Madam Speaker.
No, but honorable members, honorable members, honorable members, there is no problem having a male midwife. Why do we have male gynecologists? Honorable members, we may not come to an end on this. First of all, who approved the abolition of the courses? How was it approved? Did it come to this house? Honorable Minister, did it come to the house?
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. With your permission, I could just respond to a few, and if allowed, I can bring just a small 2-page paper indicating brief genesis and the way forward. But if that is allowed, Madam Speaker, allow me to say this. Half-baked human personnel in health is a bad language for my colleague to use. What we say,
so you mean all those years we've been having half-baked?
No.
And remember, those are the midwives that were delivering our mothers.
We don't use that language.
Honorable Minister.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable Minister. I am going to refer this issue to the to the Committee of Health. And you'll provide your information to the Committee of Health that knows more what these nurses, these midwives have done over years.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Otherwise, that is obliged. My ministry trains, but the service
Your
is
ministry
taken
will
by
work with the health?
Ministry of Health.
Yes.
Thank you.
Kabahenda. Kabahenda.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I raise on Rule 49(1) to speak to a matter of national importance. And I raise a matter on SAGE, the Social Assistance Grants for Empowerment, which others call the Senior Citizens Grants for older persons, who have arrears now of 8 months, and the government does not seem to care about it. Madam Speaker, during the fourth quarter of the financial year 2020-2021, 270,203 older persons were not paid due to the shortage of funds, and the shortage came from the government side. The development partners—
Honorable members, it is free sitting. If you don't have where to sit, kindly cross this side.
Madam Speaker, the shortage came from the government side. The development partners did their part, and as a result, 36.2 billion arrears were accumulated. At the passing of this current budget that is running, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development gave assurance to this Honorable House that they would come up with a supplementary budget to cater for these areas of last financial year, which has not even come to pass. Madam Speaker, the older persons commit this money to their health, to the welfare of the orphaned and vulnerable children that they live with, to their nutrition and food. And so spending 8 months without getting this money, Madam Speaker, has made their children not even go to school, report to school, for lack of scholastic materials and for lack of other welfare materials. Madam Speaker, the older person's health, expensive as you all know that it is, have failed now to take care of their health. And Madam Speaker, the culture of arrears and inconsistent and inadequate releases continue to hamper the implementation of SAGE. And it spells a bigger risk in case the development partners withdraw in June this year. Madam Speaker, Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development proposed in the budget framework paper that they wanted to push this 36.2 billion to next financial year as domestic areas. Madam Speaker, as we talk, the budget call circular has even dropped that. Are we mocking the older persons? Is it a mockery? Are we true to the older persons, Madam Speaker? I will take the information, Madam Speaker, before my prayers.
Thank you very much for giving way. The information I want to give is that it's ironical that a government led by old people can fail to take care of old people. The president is an older person. The prime ministers consist of older people and all these segments of society. So the information I want to give is that a government of older people is failing to take care of older people. Actually taking care of their own.
Thank you very much, Honorable Basalirwa, for that information. Madam Speaker, these older persons are not claiming a favor, they are claiming a right. And this particular government, right from their constitution, NDP, NRM manifesto, and all the international obligations have signed into taking care of the welfare of not only the vulnerable persons, but the older persons. Madam Speaker, my prayer is to task Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development and also Ministry of Finance to bring the supplementary budget before the close of this financial year, because the older persons have already waited for 8 months. You can't tell them to wait any longer. Budget called circular has not indicated. Madam Speaker, I would like to plead with this honorable parliament not to consider any more supplementary budget this financial year if it doesn't carry the 36.2 billion for SAGE. I pray, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, much as we talk about supplementary budgets, we passed the supplementary budget 101 here. To date, most institutions have not gotten paid from that supplementary budget. So why should we continue passing supplementary budgets and yet institutions are not getting paid? You brought a supplementary budget 2, 3, 4. So which one are we going for? Which one will be paid? And you're going to bring another one tomorrow. Yes, Katesh, then Shadow.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. And the issue you are raising is a matter of concern. I sit on the Budget Committee, Madam Speaker, and I think the issue we are facing is the undermining of the budget process through releases that are discriminatory. When we pass the budget and is according to the priorities set out, we expect the Ministry of Finance, when they are releasing the money, to be consistent. If you talk about the supplementary budget that was passed, I will give an example, Madam Speaker, of REA. We approved the transfer of the vote of REA to Ministry of Energy. And we know that in our constituencies, we have a lot of projects that we are being done by REA. One of the issues we asked the ministries to guarantee us was whether the service delivery or whether there would be continuity of the projects that were being done. To our shock, what we have seen is that the budget, first of all, the budget by REA, 128 billion that was passed by this parliament, was suppressed to 76 billion. And only 40 billion was released. As a result, as the members of parliament, we all know what is happening in our constituencies. The projects are stalled, the polls are standing, there is no activity taking place. So we are asking ourselves, because what we are seeing that is that the actions of the ministry are violating Section 12 of the Budget Act and Section 25 of the Supplementary of the Public Finance Management Act. We need consistency. I take the information.
Katesh, you're becoming the speaker. Yes, Solomon.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and I thank Honorable Kateshumba for giving way. Right Honorable Speaker, I have about 3 questions to the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic. The information I'm giving, okay. The information I'm giving to the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. One, I want to give him information that it is not lawful under the laws governing our country to pass a supplementary schedule and then you come with another supplementary schedule without supplying the first one. We have seen this happen in this parliament several times. You pass, then agencies keep complaining, and we do not get the feedback, because even in the previous parliament, I was sitting in the budget committee and the same thing was happening. So the information I wanted to give Honorable Katesh is that it has been happening, it is happening, and it is something that this parliament must come out strongly to fight and resist, because we cannot supply air as Parliament, if we supply the budget, the agencies that you have given the budget to must get the money to implement the activities of our voters who are down there yearning and waiting.
Thank you very much for the information. I want to conclude on this point, Madam Speaker, that we need, I will take it before I finish. Madam Speaker, even the suppressions by government need to come to the House. Because if you suppress the budget that was approved by the House, you need to come back to the House and tell us which priorities you have dropped.
The 40% suppressions.
Yes. If we continue with this, Madam Speaker, we are exposed in our constituencies. Because if the activities that were ongoing, or for which Parliament has released money, and then that money is taken somewhere else, what should we tell our constituents? So, Madam Speaker, we want the ministry to be consistent with the implementation of the budget and not undermine Parliament when it comes to the appropriation mandate. I take the information.
Okay.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and thank you, Honorable Katesh, for giving me the way. Honorable Katesh talked about the REA, the Rural Electrification Agency Program. Right Honorable Speaker, as we talk now, a bigger number of people who are supposed to receive Yaka meters have not received them for the last 4-5 years. So very many Ugandans are stuck. So until when, Right Honorable Speaker, we follow up such program, we had, Madam Speaker, the Ruwawa project. We gave people a whopping 1.4 trillion shillings, but there is nothing to show on the ground that this is the Ruwawa specialized hospital. So, Madam Speaker, the information I wanted to give Honorable Kateshi, that the money we give it out, but who follows it up? It is all eaten. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Any minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I thank you. One, the move of this matter of national importance requests government to come here with a supplementary budget to fund SAGE. SAGE was not a funded priority. SAGE was fully funded. And there is no need to come here with a supplementary to fund SAGE. Government should only make a good of what were appropriated. Therefore, failure to execute the budget is a failure on behalf of government. So I would like to just correct you that let us demand just a release of money because we passed money for SAGE. There was a big debate here in SAGE in the last Parliament. As we budgeted, the Honorable Musasi was part of a committee of budget that approved this money. And Honorable Bahati. So simply go and pay up older people. Really? People 70, 80 years and you don't pay. It's indecent. And it speaks bad of a government. Too bad. I don't want to take the line of Honorable Basman, but it looks ugly that you don't care for your father, for your mother. Let us find the money. And we are all looking bad in our constituencies as MPs. We pass around and old people say, we are not paid. So please execute the budget. Subsidiary legislation, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Katesh is talking about, is a big issue in this country. Government, the sole power to appropriate constitutional obligation. Only this Parliament has powers to appropriate. Now, suppression of the budget had subsidiary element of appropriation, which is an upfront on the powers of Parliament. So you cannot do subsidiary appropriation. It is illegal and inappropriate. So our humble appeal, and one day I read a letter written by the President of this Republic. He said, he used these words, supplementaries are a bad act of indiscipline on behalf of government executors of the budget. It should be stopped. Right, Honorable Speaker, this Parliament should find a way of stopping the culture. It's because we entertain supplementaries. They become the #1 priority for government to pay, and they leave items that we have budgeted for. May we get a deadline on this, Right Honorable Speaker? Because the mere saying they will come here to own discretion. Can the Minister of Finance, I have a list of the current releases. Some agencies have got now 112% release in the third quarter, while we don't pay money for elderly people. Can you get a specific date when the elderly people will be paid? And we task the minister to make that commitment before this house. This is the only firewall for our people. I beg. Right.
Thank you. I want to hear from a former chairman of PAC, Nathan.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, thank you very much for the opportunity. First and foremost, when we go for supplementaries, it clearly shows that when the government brings a budget here for approval, it is lying us. Because the budget is the expected income and the expected expenditure. And the supplementary is basically for those unforeseeable issues, like matters which arise. It's very dangerous to come here to say we need a supplementary for the sake old people whom we know, because initially it's supposed to be 60 years. We adjusted it to 80 years because we wanted to accommodate very few because of the source envelope. Also, the Committee of Budget is really doing us a disservice.
What is the issue?
Point of order.
The order on what? Under which rule? Under which rule?
He's going to abuse me.
COVID rule, please.
There is no COVID rule. Can I have a submission? You know, this information is very important for you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Nathan, put on your mask.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the protection. Madam Speaker, it is always important to have very good mannered children. If you have those unmannered children, I don't know what you can do to them. You waking up to give me an order is very unfortunate. Madam Speaker, so the budget committee is the one also doing us a disservice. Because before they should be agreeing to say supplementary, they should first say, we gave you a budget. How did it perform? What is the reason why we should give you a supplementary? But the budget committee is very fast, including my good friend, Katesh, running to go and examine the budget again, which has been passed. It is very unfortunate when we still had the Honorable Musasi as an MP and the chair of a committee. He was always against supplementaries. But now he's the chief leader of supplementaries. This is very unfortunate. We thought we took with the Minister of Finance to help us. Kumbe, you have become now a problem. I think it would be very important to advise the president that look for other people, because the man who will give you to help has turned against us. Because, oh, he's a fisherman, okay, sorry. So, Madam Speaker, we must follow the Constitution. Our Constitution is very clear that when Parliament passes a budget, it must be implemented as it is. If there are issues, if you want to amend anything, you must come back to Parliament, and again, Parliament gives you authority to do amendments. Even the technical allocations, we made it in the PFM that you cannot go beyond 5% of the budget line. For example, if you want to adjust money in a budget, on a budget line of 10 million, 5% of 10 million is 50,000. You can only be allowed up to 50,000, but eventually you must come and report. But you cannot go beyond 55%. So, Madam Speaker, we want to plead first with the chair and the Committee of Budget that please follow the rules. We want to plead with Musasi's whom we sent to Minister of Finance, kindly be better. You and Rugorobi, we sent you there to be our ambassadors to assist, but you are now becoming a, well, that one I've observed it for tomorrow. Okay, so, Madam Speaker, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Nandala. Honorable Musasizi, I want you to respond to this. As a former chair of a committee, now don't speak as a minister. And secondly, one thing we need to know, when you made the separation of the 40%, what Honorable Katesh was saying, did you seek for an approval? That's one. Two, what happened to the SAGE money? Is there a problem that we need to address? Why are they not being paid? Three, why the rampant supplementary budget? The supplementary gaps that are coming up. And if the supplementaries are there, like I said before, supplementary 001, institutions have not been paid up to now. And you brought 2, 3, and 4. I know 5 is coming tomorrow. So what happens with the ones we approved before? What happened to that supply? So could you guide this house on what we should do as a house? Minister, can you respond? You used to be advised to him.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would like to appreciate the honorable colleagues for the concern they have raised. And also, I would like to appreciate Honorable Nandala Mafavi for acknowledging that Madam Speaker,
use a microphone, Honorable.
Madam Speaker, I doubt whether this microphone is not picking properly. Madam Speaker, allow me first of all appreciate Honorable Nandala Mafavi for acknowledging my contribution while I was the chairperson of the committee. Madam Speaker, it is true that I was an advocate of no supplementary spending to the extent possible that in 2015, we eliminated supplementary spending in the Public Finance Management Act before the amendment was introduced again. I was with Mafavi, he knows very well. However, Madam Speaker, the Honorable Flavia Guabhoro made my work very complicated. How I wish she had identified the budget for the current year running. How much was it? How much we have been able to release? And what is the variance? It would have
Honorable
been
Minister, I
for me
thought
to
you are the
understand.
custodian of the budget.
Procedure.
Why do you want the honorable member to be the one to identify when you are the custodian of the budget?
Can I, Madam Speaker, I'm building my point. Because as far as I'm concerned, we have been releasing funds on a quarterly basis to take care of SAGE. And if I got her properly, she's requesting for a supplementary. she's taking us a direction where I wouldn't wish to go.
Honorable
ma-
Minister, when was the last time the older persons were paid? When was the last time?
Madam Speaker, as far as I am concerned, I can even confirm tomorrow that the older persons will receive the money for the third quarter.
Can you, Honorable Minister, we don't want to speak on hearsay. Can you lay on table tomorrow evidence that the older people have been
Yes.
paid?
I can do that.
Please lay on table tomorrow that these people have been paid.
Point.
And they are not on arrears.
Much obliged, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, point number 2 is on the 40% suppression. Madam Speaker, it is true, at the beginning of this financial year, we suppressed some budgets by 40% before parliamentary approval. But when we brought supplementary Schedule 1, Madam Speaker, Parliament regularized these commitments we made, and therefore we got the approval of this House, Madam Chair, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the next point is on failure to release supplementary funding which has been appropriated by Parliament. Madam Speaker, I do acknowledge that we have not performed in time in as far as releasing these funds are concerned. There is a technical challenge which we faced. We passed a supplementary expenditure, but we didn't provide for the resource or how this supplementary spending was going to be financed. Madam Speaker, I will be coming here.
Honorable Minister, the good thing you're talking to some people who know issues of revenue versus expenditure. Before you think of an expenditure, you must have where you're going to get the money from. So for you to come and ask for money to be given by the House, and you don't know the source of funding, then that is unfortunate. And I know you as a very good accountant. Nathan, just a minute.
Madam, can I?
Thank you very
I
much.
want somebody who knows who.
So that we reason together.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Honorable Musa says, because first of all, you are the one who manages revenue. You are the one who has been authorized to what? To collect. 2, you are the one who has been authorized to even spend. Now, when you come here for expenditure, you must have a backup for the revenue. So, Madam Speaker, I'm so worried. If a honourable minister can bring a budget here, that will not be a budget because a supplementary is a budget. And we said a budget consists of income and expenditure. So what budget, how do you bring an expenditure and you don't bring what? Income? So it means you are assuming members of parliament will be asleep, pass whatever you have brought, then you go there and manage your processes.
Eddie, Quizera.
Okay, you can give me information, my brother.
No, you're going to respond.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I'd like to give information to Honorable Nandala that the difference between a normal budget and a supplementary. A normal budget is based on expected, anticipated revenue. But a supplementary, a source must be assured. That's the difference. You cannot come to Parliament and it's a conditionality for passing a supplementary budget. The source of funding is always established before we pass a supplementary. Therefore, under supplementary expenditure, you cannot raise the issue of anticipated revenue. Revenues are not anticipated, they are assured. So what are you talking about, sir?
In the supplementary,
Thank you very much, Honorable.
in the supplementary, there is certainty of income. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Chivumbi, for the information. I think maybe let us educate the minister further. A budget initially which you bring is expected income and expected expenditure. These are based on activities you have planned to go and implement. While you are executing the budget, you discover maybe one, there are new unforeseeable circumstances coming. Now you say you need to get a supplementary. Or some activities you had planned for, you have discovered that they cannot be executed and you want to make an adjustment. So that's basically how you come and say, I've got this amount of money, which I want to apply to these new activities, or I want to, which are really new because you are adjusting them. So, Mr. Minister, I want to advise you that, sir, whenever you come, don't lie members of parliament. Because if you brought first expenditure and you forgot revenue, I think now what would parliament should do is to first reject that entire supplementary and you start afresh.
Thank you, Eddie. Eddie Quizera.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. I would like to refer the minister to our rules of procedure, Rule 153, where the minister is empowered to bring the supplementary for consideration. And in 2, it reads as follows. The supplementary estimates presented in sub-rule 1 shall clearly spell out the sources of funding for the supplementary expenditure request for each vote. So why can't the minister then follow the rules of this house? I thank you.
And this is also provided section 25. Honorable Minister.
You see, when an appropriation bill or a supplementary comes here, first of all, it is a bill. And no bill can be processed in this house without a certificate of financial implication. Yes, it's still an appropriation. And every time they bring it here, it's accompanied by that. So for the minister to come here and turn around, and yet it is there, the same ministry that proposes, I think that is not in order.
And that's why I was telling the minister to speak as a former chair, not as a minister today. Minister, former chair of finance.
Madam Speaker, it is true that the source of funding is normally looked at when we are bringing supplementary budgets. Madam Speaker, the anomaly that occurred is that included in the source of funding was a borrowing. And this borrowing ought to have first been approved by this house. That is the technical issue we have, but I'll be coming back soon to seek authorization to borrow in order to fully finance this supplementary budget.
Information.
Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Listening to the minister, it raises 2 critical things. One, seems we are really planning to fail. Because if you bring a supplementary of a source that you've not secured, it means there's really, really a big planning problem. The other issue it raises is that SAGE, to me, it's a recurrent cost. It's just like you cannot fail to plan for your salary. Saying that SAGE slipped away and in the BFP it becomes a domestic areas, in my view, I think we also have a problem with prioritization. Because if it's a recurrent payment and you know they're supposed to be paid every month, how come that you forget about for the older people, but you don't forget about your own salary and your other recurrent activities? I think, as you rightly put it, we seem to be having a disconnect between what we bring here and what we are actually doing. And I think as Parliament, we might have to really
start looking at all those processes critically, because when you bring here, we assume that you've already followed all the rules of procedures as laid in our rules. I thank you.
Minister, as we agreed, tomorrow you lay on table the recent payment of the SAGE.
Madam Speaker.
Without arrears.
Madam Speaker, can I say
Yes.
something?
Yes.
Madam Speaker, it is good these matters are coming up at the point when we are going at the last stage of our budgeting cycle. I want to say that sometimes these things happen. You may budget for instance, under budgeting for SAGE is not something, or any other item in the budget, is not something extraordinary. Sometimes these things happen. But it's good the Honorable raising the matter. Is the chair of the Committee on Gender, Labor and Social Development, and is an ex-official member of the Budget Committee. I want to commit before this House that we shall have an in-depth engagement with her, together with the committee, to look into the SAGE budget with a view of addressing the concerns she's raising in the next financial year's budget.
Honorable member, yes.
Honorable Mafabi.
Jessica, Madam Speaker, thank you. And I want just for your help. Madam Speaker, the minister must know that borrowing is also a source of funding. If you had brought here a budget and said, I want 2 billion shilling, but my source of funding is borrowing, then they would have, no, that's the second one. But the source revenue sources, I think Katesh knows it is from taxes and non-tax revenue. Even borrowing is a source of revenue. So when you came here for the supplementary, you would have said, I have brought the supplementary, but my source is borrowing. Now you go back, when I've approved, now you say, want to bring the resolution for what? Borrowing.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I am glad that today Honorable Mafabi is in the House, because we normally synergize over these matters together. Madam Speaker, I want to, like I mentioned earlier, somehow we missed out the idea of borrowing, of seeking authorization of this House before the supplementary budget was considered. I want to seek indulgence of this House. Kindly bear with us. In the coming weeks, we should come here to address that anomaly. No, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, we shall have that letter laid, the payment laid
Madam
tomorrow.
Speaker, can I clarify this?
Yes.
The colleagues are concerned on whether I can bring the clarification is at my discretion.
Whether you can bring what?
The colleagues are concerned on whether I can bring a motion seeking to borrow tomorrow.
Seeking to borrow?
No, I can't.
No, who has told you to borrow?
Yes, this is what they are
Members,
saying.
and as we think of this, as we wait for the document tomorrow,
There is a process we go through.
honorable members, one of your cardinal roles as a member of parliament is appropriation. When we made our budget for Parliament of Uganda for 2022-2023, it is so unfortunate that the Minister of Finance has had to write to me saying we are not going to fund inland travels, we are not funding a number of issues. So I'm wondering whether Minister of Finance has taken over the role of appropriation or what? Why do you want to stifle the operation of Parliament?
Madam Speaker, it is not our intention to stifle the work of Parliament or any other MDA. However, Madam
Don't
Speaker,
call us any other MDA. This is a Parliament of Uganda.
much obliged, Madam Speaker. However, Madam Speaker, I would like also to say this. We pass a budget as Parliament, premised on revenue performance and also other revenue sources. When I don't get all the money, I release what I have. Meaning,
Honorable, as a member of Parliament, what are your priority areas? Don't you need to do an oversight role? How do you do it?
Madam Speaker, as a member of Parliament, my priority areas, number one, is ensure that service delivery of my people is guaranteed. Number two is oversight. I must be facilitated to do my oversight.
But you're saying you're not going to facilitate Parliament.
What I'm saying, Madam Speaker.
No, what I'm saying what is you've documented as Minister of Finance writing to us, and the letter arrived today. Honorable members, the letter arrived today that in the next financial year, we will not have local travels, no external travels. All those kind of things will not be there.
But no, can we look at that letter?
Next item. Next item. Next item.
Statement by Minister.
Order. Order.
Statement by Minister on the occasion of commemorating the International Women's Day, 8th March 2022.
Honorable Minister Amongi of Gender. Honorable Minister is the Minister of all. Sage.
Have they got the money?
Members, we are receiving a report from the Honorable Minister of Gender. Remember, we are going to have Women's Day. The Women's Day is going to be celebrated.
No, we can't celebrate.
Thank you.
And we are inviting all the men to come and celebrate the Women's Day.
Order.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, in 1975, the United Nations declared an International Women's Year and recognized March 8th as the International Women's Day, on which all member states of the UN recognize and honor women. The International Women's Day has its origin in the struggle by women for on equal terms with men in political, social, cultural, and economic processes. It's a global day for celebrating the achievements made on the delivery of gender equality and women's empowerment. The day also serves as a call for action to accelerate progress towards gender equality and women's empowerment.
Uganda declared the International Women's Day a national day in 1984, and since then has been celebrating it on an annual basis. The last national celebration were held on 8th March 2021 at State House in Entebbe under the theme
Madam Speaker, you can see the Honorable Minister is presenting a statement on the Women's Day. And about 4 men have walked out. As if this does not concern them. And most of them are married. So, Right Honorable Speaker, is it in order for the men to walk out when this statement on the women, so you stay. Thank you very much, those who have stayed.
We are here except Atkinson.
Thank you.
Order.
We are here except Atkinson.
Order. Honorable members, let's listen to a report from the minister. She's going to make it brief. All she's informing you is about the Women's Day and also inviting you, the good men. Not all men, the good men. The ones who have gone out are bad men.
Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker and members, since the previous celebration, some of the key gender empowerment initiatives and programs included, among others, continued support to women groups in wealth creation through Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program. Cumulatively, a total of 16,542 women groups with 191,476 members have been supported with credit and entrepreneurship skills. The ministry has developed and launched the National Gender-Based Violence Multisectoral COVID-19 Response Plan for 2021-22 to 2024-25 to address the escalating cases of teenage pregnancy, offer support to young mothers, and ensure that gender-based violence shelters are established. The ministry, in liaison with the Ministry of Local Government, lobbied for the initiation of 30% quota for women and youth in the delivery of the parish development model, reserving 30% under the parish development model for them. The campaign to end teenage pregnancy and the guidelines on prevention and management of teenage pregnancy in schools were launched by Her Excellency the Vice President, the First Lady and Minister of Education, and the Right Honorable Prime Minister, and the campaign is coordinated by the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development and will run until 2026. The ministry has initiated the National Women Leaders Forum, which will be launched tomorrow by Her Excellency the Vice President at Skies Hotel. Right Honorable, you have been invited, and all the women members of Parliament. It was Serena, but Serena's all which they gave us was not enough for all the members. It could only occupy about 150, so we have got a bigger hall in Skies Hotel, and it's a very beautiful hotel. We welcome you there tomorrow. The ministry is also scaling up implementation of Green Jobs and Fair Markets program. This is to ensure skilling and reskilling, and it targets Juakali youth and women in all the constituency. And this Juakali toolkit have so far benefited 308 groups with 6,846 members supported. We have also finalized a project called Generating Growth Opportunities and Productivity of Women Enterprises Grow, which is being financed by World Bank with a component of a grant, and it will support entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs who are not able to benefit from the parish development model. We realize that parish development model is targeting women majorly in agriculture and also women whose capital do not exceed 5 million. But for women whose capital is beyond 5 million, they will benefit from this entrepreneurship skill. The ministry has also strengthened collaboration with Uganda Women's Parliamentary Association and MPs in order to engender legislative processes and create awareness on women's rights. Recent passing of the Succession Amendment Act 2022, among others. And I would like to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, for this landmark achievement of passing this law. The national celebration is under the theme, Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. The theme highlights the significance of the equal relationship between men and women as a precondition for long-term development outcomes in our country. It also recognizes the need to advance gender equality in the context of climate crisis, disaster risk reduction, in the light of the current severe and lasting impacts of climate change on women and girls. Right Honorable Speaker, the venue for the celebration for this year's International Women's Day is going to be Kololo because of the impact of COVID-19 and lack of budgetary allocation to go up country. For this year, we still celebrate at Kololo, and His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, will be the chief guest. Preparation is ongoing, and the Ministry of Gender is overseeing and coordinating the celebration and will lead all the stakeholders in commemorating the event. Government, MDS, civil society, private sector, media, communities, and individuals are all involved in the preparatory activities. Honorable members, all local governments and Kampala capital also observe at their individual districts and cities the International Women's Day in respect to COVID-19 SOPs. I wish to inform you that a series of activities are planned. The Women Leaders Forum, which is going to be held on 3rd March. The Uganda Women's Entrepreneurship Program National Conference will be held between 9th to 10th at Hotel Africana, still organized by the Ministry of Gender, together with the CARE and International Center of Research. The National Women Council Conference will be held on 7th March at Imperial Royal, organized by the National Women's Council. Community mobilization for mindset change, sensitization, March in Kalangala District and organized by National Women's Council. At the event, there was awareness and guidelines on second chance education for girls, tree planting, a campaign on menstrual hygiene, community dialogue on to uptake on government programs. 1st to 4th March at City Square, organized in conjunction with Uganda Police Force. I therefore wish to inform you, Right Honorable, and the members that you are invited to join in the celebration, which is due on Tuesday, 8th, and I encourage members to also organize and support their districts in the celebration of International Women's Day. And I wish to acknowledge and appreciate the members of Parliament for continued commitment to accelerate gender equality, women's empowerment in our country through gender responsive legislation, reviewing budget, gender. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you, honorable members, and I beg to submit.
Thank you so much, Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, for the report. Clarification from CC, Miss Uganda.
Is it a minority report? Right Honorable Speaker, I'm seeking clarification from the Minister. First of all, I'm grateful that finally we are going to have a celebration nationally in Kololo. And I believe that the invitation will be extended to villagers as well, because we will represent village constituencies. They feel really elevated when they come to Kampala. So even if there are about 4 or 5, it will be good to have our villagers also share in the joy of celebrating at a national level. The second clarification I'm seeking is the World Bank credit facilities or loan or grant facilities. I would want to know which is the agency that will be disbursing this money, because the World Bank doesn't just deal directly with either the ministry or with the government. There will be an agency that will manage the fund. So, and how can we, the rural women who are trying to go beyond agriculture, be able to access that money? Because most of the time we hear about this money, we hear about the loan lines of credit and so on, but accessing those lines becomes too complicated for those of us who are. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like the Minister to clarify for us how we can handle those matters. I thank you.
Thank you, Sise. Minister, I want to know whether we shall have some people from Bukede here. Abe.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Shadow Minister will speak last.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I joined the world in commemorating the Women's Day. Indeed, it's a very worthful celebrated day. But when you look at Women's Day, Right Honorable Speaker, we take that opportunity to evaluate the women issues in this country. Right Honorable Speaker, I credit the country for having done a lot in terms of women representation in politics. I want to credit the country and thank our policies and the government for that. But Right Honorable Speaker, there is a lot that we need to do in terms of women empowerment. Our women in the villages today are grappling and struggling with maintaining families. You realize that most of the young people, most of the powerful women in this country, like you, Right Honorable Speaker, are raised by women single-handedly. Right Honorable Speaker, we need a lot of interventions in ensuring that men who neglect their duties are brought to books. Today, we have single mothers struggling. You go and give birth with someone's daughter, and you cannot take responsibility. Right Honorable Speaker, we need the law to touch these unfriendly men. I'm not meaning these friendly men who are looking at me, but these unfriendly ones who don't want to take responsibilities must be brought to books. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to talk about the issue of government programs. I am not happy that money which was allocated on OWEP, a program meant for women, is again being sliced off and taken on another newly brought project. Right Honorable Speaker, we need projects for women, as many as we can, and it must be funded. And if we don't fund these projects, we know for sure that all these small projects we are looking at, the small entrepreneurship projects, are being managed by women.
Thank you.
Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you, and I want to thank the Honorable Minister for talking about the green jobs. We need more money for green jobs. We need these equipments to be bought and given to the villages, support women. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Abe. And we need responsible men. not irresponsible like Nathan. Nathan, I've seen you standing. Okay. Santa, then Nathan.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to start by thanking the Minister for this brief. But I have some few clarifications. One has been mentioned by Honorable Cecilia. We normally have a very good program, well-funded for the Women's Day at the national level. But when it comes to the district level, Madam Speaker, it's always left to the women members of parliament. So the clarification that I'm seeking from the Honorable Minister, that much as we are having and you have invited us for the program here at Kololo, what program do you have for the women at the district level? Is it decentralized? How can we really make sure that the women and the majority at the grassroots also enjoy this day as the women at the national level? Madam Speaker, as again, I thank the Honorable Minister for the theme of the Women's Day today. She has mentioned about the impact of climate change on the women and girls. Truly, Madam Speaker, when you look at the impact of the climate change, the people who bear the most burden are the women. So much as this theme is touching on the issue of climate change, I would like to know if there is a specific program that the Ministry of Gender has, which is targeting women as far as the women, the climate change is concerned. Because, Madam Speaker, when you go to the villages, the fuel that the women need to prepare even food and other activities, they are not there. So I would love the minister to really tell us, the women representative and even the male representative in this house, whether there's a specific pack for the women as far as the issue of climate change is concerned. I thank you, Honorable Minister, as we join you to support the women and celebrate this day. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, just maybe to, as a matter of reminder, we have Ash Wednesday today. And the Archbishop is already here. The Archbishop of Nebi, Honorable Minister of Education,
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
maybe before the Honorable Minister comes in, I'm organizing a dinner for all the women members of Parliament for Women's Day. For Women's Day.
Thank you so much. Members, I want to join you in thanking our Honorable Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development.
Procedure. Honorable members of Parliament, when I say women, the women come with men. So why should you bother? They come with men. They say behind a successful man, there's always a what? A woman. So you're all going to be invited.
Thank you for that wise invitation. Honorable members, I stand to appreciate and thank the Honorable Minister for the preparation and the celebration of International Women's Day for this year 2022. Special appreciation to our government of Uganda for the affirmative action for us, the women, and for our girls in various areas like affirmative action for entry to university. I stand in a special way to thank our speaker in commemoration of that day, in order to commemorate that day, as he has just mentioned, our own Right Honorable Speaker, who is a lady, a mother, and a woman, has organized a get-together for us all, the women members of parliament, women in parliament of Uganda, together with the friendly men. This will take place at an appropriate time that the dates and the venues will be arranged. I have been mandated to take the lead, to set a committee, to see to it that this is special event an history in parliament and of great success. We thank you, Madam Speaker, and we look forward for all of us to celebrate on that day when it will be announced. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Fortunate.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
There was a man who was supposed to speak behind. Let him first speak before.
Yeah, Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Madam Speaker, first of all, I've been a member of WOPA since 2001. Unfortunately, this parliament, I've not been seeing my deductions being done. I don't know what happened, either they have sacked me. If you have not sacked me, I'm still a member of WOPA. Madam Speaker, if you have seen the population of the world, the number of women are more than, and unfortunately, when a kid is sick at home, it's the woman who is more concerned. School fees is the woman who is more concerned. Yes, by the way, if you have not noticed, there are so many members, there are so many, if you have seen phone calls, a woman will be calling saying, I don't have school fees. When you ask him what about the husband, he said, this husband disappeared from home long ago, and I don't know where he is. And surely women are the most concerned people in this country and the world. They are the most kind people. But unfortunately, the programs we draw really don't favor them. I heard here my sister Santa saying, not this Santa, the one who said that UWEPA, the one which was in Ministry of Gender, UWEP. During the audit, they said that they returned some money, but they had also not returned some money. Of course, I know the more, any person who, it is men who don't pay loans, but women pay loans. In fact, I've been, that one I must congratulate you, because I was involved in one concert as international. Small loans given to women changed their lives and they paid them up. So, Madam Speaker, for me, on this Women's Day, first of all, since it started in 1984, I ask the government to come up with really deliberate action plans for women. You see, if you want this country to develop, I know education is priority, but women should have the biggest investment. For example, if we are talking of microfinance, to finance the smaller ones, I think finance women. If women are, yes, I'm very serious on this, I've seen it myself. If you finance women, you will get more dividend in this country than this business of funding other activities. If I was a minister of finance, and now I'm talking to the one who is there, is he still there? I want you to go and change a work plan. My younger brother, Musasizi, by the way, I'm bigger because I'm number 32 in the institute, so I don't know what number you are. I want you to go and look at this issue of microfinance support center. We open up a window, basically for women. And I can tell you the moment you do that, let us say commit about 100 billion in microfinance support center to give small loans to the women. That 100 billion will multiply within 5 years, you will have half a trillion. Why? Women. I'll take it, my sister.
Thank you so much, my honorable senior, Honorable Mafabi.
How did Aisha get the microphone?
Honorable, I just wanted to inform you that helping the suffering women you're talking about need a holistic approach. The women suffer issues from all corners, the injustices in courts and everywhere, the extrajudicial killings. You remember women that were killed in the November demonstrations. One was carrying a plate of food and she was shot. You saw a woman crying for her child who was killed 15-year-old. So helping women needs a holistic approach. Right, Honorable Speaker, Mama Sajirinya has come here many times crying before you to be helped for his son to get access right to bail. So helping women needs a holistic approach to the whole system, including the democratic institutions of this country, to be addressed. Finally, Madam Speaker, as information to my colleague and the minister, is that you've just spoken about also blood donation. I have attempted to do blood donation Women's Day, and they're asking for facilitation and everything that I should help them to go and get blood. So we don't know what to do, how we can help. People are dying for lack of blood, but the government organ that should collect blood needs facilitation from members of parliament to be able to collect blood from the public. We don't know how to move on. Thank you, Honorable Mafabi, for giving me way.
You're welcome. Madam Speaker, I want to conclude by saying, yes, we cannot address all issues at once. At least we're happy. We have, is it feeder for lawyers for women? Yeah?
There's a motion here.
Something is there, at least women in legal legal process, there's something. But financial, we want them to become financially inclusive. The moment they have money, they will pay a lawyer. The moment they have money, they will take their children to school. The moment they have money, they will go for health. But if they have no money, even if you give them all the lawyers on earth, they will lack what to do. So let us make them rich. And by the way, if you give money to a woman and a generous, women will be the beneficiaries. You will come home, there's food, you will get, surely.
Yes, there's a motion.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, thank you. There's a motion here
Thank you very much.
by
Right Honorable
Honorable
Speaker.
Kavanda.
Was just giving information to the House about the International Women's Day. Right Honorable Speaker, I move a motion under Rule 59C that the debate be closed because the minister was just giving information to this House.
Honorable members, you know very well how we've debated about women in this house. We've talked about women in this house, and everybody in this house knows how important a woman is, how responsible women are. When you put women in a place of responsibility, you get results. A woman takes 99% of responsibility. Honorable Nathan, today you've been a very good gentleman. 99% of responsibility in a home. So as women, we are only inviting you. What we need as a Minister of Gender, what we want you to encourage government, executive, is an inclusion of women in everything. Full inclusion of women. And you know, once you include a woman in an activity, you get a feedback, you get results. But I must also thank government. 60% of the top leadership of executive are women. And we are proud to be women. We are proud Ugandan women. The motion has been brought. Is the motion seconded? In the interest of time, the motion is seconded and passed. Thank you. Next item.
Item number 4, motion for adoption of the reports of the Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry on the alleged mismanagement of Soroti Fruit Factory.
Members will be closing the house at 5 sharp. We'll be going for a mass. But meanwhile, I know Honorable Nandala is interested in the Soroti fruit factory, since that's where he comes from. Honorable Parker.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the minutes and the supporting documents for the report of the Sectoral Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry on the alleged mismanagement of Soroti Fruits Limited. Report on the Sectoral Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry on the alleged mismanagement of Soroti Fruits Limited. For the interest of time, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm going to try to summarize and refer honorable members. The introduction, the Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industry has the honor to present its report findings from the 16th to 17th of February 2022 in the districts of Soroti, specifically Soroti Fruits Limited. This was in pursuance of the directive by the Speaker to the Tourism, Trade and Industry Committee to take up the matter of fact-finding regarding the allegation of resource mismanagement and dire abuse, as presented on the floor of Parliament by Honorable Ebwalu Jonathan, MP, Soroti City West Division, on the 8th February 2022, and the committee has agreed to report the following. The background is on page 1, honorable members. On page 2, we have the composition of the board. The company has a board of directors with a composition of 2 directors from the minority shareholder, who is TEFCU, and 5 directors from the majority shareholder, who is UDC. The investment in Soroti Fruits Limited, the initial investment in Soroti Fruits amounted to 8.6 billion from Korea International Cooperation Agency, KOICA. This was used mainly for plant construction, equipment phase, and associated costs, including importation, transportation, and staff training from financial year 2010 to 11. To date, the government has spent UGX 41.13 billion on the factory, hence a total capitalization of 70.73 billion. The rationale is on page 3, honorable members, and page 4. I now wish to take you to page 5, the objectives. The objectives, 1 was to ascertain the alleged mismanagement of resources and abuse of office at Soroti Fruits Limited, presented on the floor of Parliament as a matter of national importance. 2, to examine the contribution of UDC as a government enterprise in propelling the government agenda of doing business on behalf of government and yet helping the public access services required for socio-economic development. 3, to scrutinize the utilization of funds provided by the government of Uganda to UDC enterprise, their accountability for the revenue that accrues from the project and the business at Soroti Fruits Limited. And lastly, to propose recommendations to enable efficiency and effectiveness in resource and office management of Soroti Fruits Limited in a bid to support it in the achievement of its objectives, and also ensure the creation of a positive impact on the people of Teso and Uganda as a whole. The scope, the committee concerns itself with the whole of Teso region in eastern Uganda, and the report takes a close look at the affairs of UDC. Methodology on page 6, honorable members. The committee carried out field visits to Soroti Fruits Factory found in Soroti City and sampled farmers in Gweri sub-county located in Gweri County, Soroti District. We also had meetings with key stakeholders. The witnesses included leadership of Soroti District, the cooperatives, TEFCU leadership, and the management and workers, some of the board members, and the local populace. The memoranda, apart from memoranda received from the above stakeholders, the committee also received written presentations from the following: Honorable Ebwalu Jonathan, the petitioner; Uganda Investment Authority, Uganda National Bureau of Standards, Uganda Development Corporation, and some of the area members of parliament. The committee also carried out desk research. On page 7, we have the committee's observations and analysis. 6.1, the alleged gross abuse of office and resources. An allegation of gross abuse of office by Soroti management, this is the management of the factory, was brought to the attention of Parliament by Honorable Jonathan Ebwalu, MP Soroti City Division West. In his submission, he informed Parliament that there was evidence that the perimeter wall of the factory, Soroti, was estimated to have cost 2.5 billion and at a cost of 5.5 billion. The committee reviewed the procurement documents for both the construction of the road and perimeter wall, and the following are its findings. The procurement of the construction of a perimeter wall. It is the finding of the committee that the contract for the procurement of the construction of the perimeter wall as proposed, Soroti Fruits Factory Limited in Arapi Sub-County, Soroti District, was undertaken between Uganda Development Corporation and Wheels International Engineers and Contractors Limited at a total contract price of 734,493,659 shillings only on the 14th of May, 2014. According to the special conditions of this contract, the intended completion date for the whole of the works was 4 months. Accordingly, the work started on 21st May 2014 and were expected to be completed by 20th September 2014. Further still, the special conditions of the contract provided that the contract was not subject to price adjustments. On the 12th of August 2015, the project manager, senior engineer at UDC, requested for an extension of time, citing challenges with the supplier reservoir, delayed payments from UDC, and a lot of rainfall which interrupted the works, and recommended an extension of a 14-day calendar. In his loose minute to the executive director UDC, the project manager claimed that the contract was due to expire on 17th August 2015 and that the works were almost at 93% completion. The committee was informed on 18th of June 2015 that UDC entered into another contract for the completion of the perimeter wall fence and construction of the plot access roads for the proposed Soroti Fruits Factory in Arapai Sub-County, Soroti District with Wheels International Engineers and Construction Limited for a contract price of 369,624,638 shillings only. The duration of this contract was a period of 2 months from 18th July and 17th of August 2015. Now, I'll take you to page 9. The contractor MS Wheels International was contracted under direct procurement method construction process as alleged by UDC. The committee was informed that the complete infrastructure of the boundary wall and the 2 first-class Maram access roads, including all the variations associated with the works, cost UDC a total sum of 1,104,118,297 shillings. The observations of the committee makes the following observations. There was no evidence of alleged reasons for extension of time and variation of the contract sum originating from the contractor Wheels International Engineers and Construction Limited. 2, the undertaking of a fresh contract under direct procurement method for completion of a wall fence with the same contractor at a different contract price was irregular and justifiable and not in line with the PPDA, and the same should have been queried by the Office of the Solicitor General. 3, whereas the contractor did not request for extension of time even after failing to complete the first contract of the construction of the wall, UDC project manager on 12th August 2015 in a loose minute addressed to the ED of UDC was rather the one who requested for a 14-day calendar, no cost extension. 4, the original contract did not provide for price variation, therefore the contractor Wheels International Engineers and Construction Limited, after failing to complete the wall contract due to alleged unavailability of reservoir and bad weather, was rather gifted with a new contract by UDC to complete the previous work and do a total new scope of work. This therefore implies that UDC just used the contractor to defraud government. 5, the committee during the oversight visit at the factory observed that even after the additional contract sums, the contractor did shady work, which has left the wall with cracks, sinking foundations, and plaster on the walls peeling off. It's unfortunate that picture is not colored, but you can see the wall is already peeling off the concrete. 6, UDC did not provide sufficient evidence as the procurement process, including the minutes of the evaluation committees and minutes of the contract committees approving the contracts. 7, there is clear indication that UDC floated the procurement process when they undertook a second contract for the completion of construction of a perimeter wall and construction of roads in total disregard of a previous contract for the construction of the perimeter wall, which was at 93% completion. This implication is that the 7% remaining works for completion could not have cost 369 million, which is about 50.3% of the first contract sums. 8, there is need for further investigation into the matter pertaining the clearance of the contracts by the different officers in the Solicitor General's office based on the following facts below. The contractor neither officially requested for more money nor time. However, the Office of the Solicitor General cleared the contracts for signing without querying. 2, all the 3 contracts were cleared by different officers from the Solicitor General's office. 3, the new contract sum does not indicate how much was going to the completion of the construction of the perimeter wall and how much was going to the works of the new contract. And lastly, given all documents provided, the contract sum could not be justified. 2, the procurement works for the road in Soroti Industrial and Business Park. The basis of the contract in caption was established on the PPDA on a basis of PPDA general conditions for the procurement works, June 2005. Pursuant of clause 11.1b, design of the permanent works is an employer's risk. The employer is responsible for the design and supply of the design documents, drawings, bills of quantities, specifications, the accuracy of the design documents and the design liability. The contractor's responsibility was to execute the works using the employer's supply design and further instructions from the project manager. I'll take you straight to the delays. Delay by the project manager to issue the instructions for permanent works. There was a delay by the project manager to issue instructions for permanent works. This indicates that probably the project manager did not have the design for the permanent works. Effect stroke impact of the above events on the progress of the works. Pursuant of clause 32 of the conditions of the contract, the delay by the project manager to use appropriate instructions for the permanent works, which would adversely disrupt the progress of works while pending the design review. And until 9th January 2014, 6 months later, from the commencement of the works on 27th May 2013, when the instructions with the drawing setting out data culvert schedule for Temele Industrial Road and Pineapple Road were issued to the contractor, this clearly indicated that the contract was awarded without appropriate design, as it should be. The design that had been issued were defective and vastly exhibited by the following features on the same drawings. 1, whereas Temele Road is found in a floodplain with almost 600 meters through a permanent swamp, no provision had been made for rockfill. 2, the culvert schedule issued were limited in scope, whereas there are 8 streams crossing. Only 3 lines of culvert were included on the schedule. And lastly, in addition, the contractor would not achieve minimum cover on all culverts crossing. The drawing setting out data and culvert schedule for Temele Industrial Road and Pineapple Road, which were issued on 9th January 2014, was substantially different from that which formed part of the contract. This meant that from the onset of onwarding the contract, there were wrong designs. What this means is the UDC gave someone a contract to make designs, and they just sat in an office and calculated the total distance and the cost of tarmac per kilometer. They did not actually go to the ground. Observations of the committee. The committee makes the following observations: the lack of appropriate designs at the time of awarding the contract, resulted into delayed completion of the project and increased the total cost of the project. According to clause 3.1 of the Memorandum of Understanding between UDC and UIA, one of the conditions was to set a multidisciplinary project implementation team to manage the project, and it was to be composed of representatives from UDC, UIA, Ministry of Finance, and the Ministry of Works. However, the committee was not set up, which raised doubt on the technical compliance of the works. And lastly, a contract of 121.810000 between UIA and MSAIM Engineers Limited was signed to carry out for the provision of detailed engineering designs and documentation for 6.4 kilometers of road at Soroti Industrial and Business Park. The committee was therefore shocked that the design contractor failed to take into account the swampy nature of the road and needed rockfill unless the design was done without physically going on ground to take into the account of the above unforeseen challenges, which later cost government another variation of 269.786475 million to do the rockfill, and in spite of that, MG engineers and contractors for delays, which attracted another cost of 342.747186 as an outstanding contract balance for the construction of Soroti Industrial and Business Park Access Road, Lot 1, and 20 million in damages. Governance and management of Soroti Fruits Limited. The ownership of government interest in Soroti Fruits Limited. The petitioner, Honorable Jonathan Ebal, while appearing before the committee, alleged that UDC did not have shareholding in Soroti Fruits Limited since UDC was established in 2016, while Soroti Fruits Limited was incorporated in 2012. He pointed out that according to the second schedule of the UDC Act 2016, Soroti Fruits Limited is not among the entities that are listed in which the corporation acquires the interest of government. The committee has examined the allegation and finds as follows. Originally, UDC was established under UDC Act Cap 326 of 1952 to be a government body responsible for investment. However, due to changes in the government and subsequent change in policy, government repealed the UDC Corporation Act Cap 326 under the Public Enterprise Reform and Divestiture Act of 1993, and all the corporations that UDC Limited used to manage were listed for divestiture or transferred to the ministries for management. In 2003, government incorporated UDC Companies Act, Cap 110 in January 2008. Cabinet resolved to revive the UDC as a development arm of government, and in 2016, government enacted the Uganda Development Corporation Act 2016, wherein it reinstated the Uganda Development Corporation as a statutory body to manage Uganda's undertaking that were listed in the second schedule of the Act. The committee observes that whereas it's true Soroti Fruits Limited is not among the entities listed in the second schedule of the Act, the company was incorporated under the Companies Act 2012 with two shareholders, to wit, UDC taking 80% and TEFCO taking 20%. The committees of the considered opinion, therefore, that the non-inclusion of Soroti Fruits Limited among the listed entities under the second schedule does UDC, since Uganda Development Corporation is a shareholder in the company, according to the Memorandum of Articles of Association of Soroti Fruits Limited. Section 33(2) of the Uganda Development Act 2016 requires the minister responsible for industrial development to list other property rights, assets, liabilities, and obligations of government to be included in Schedule 2 by statutory instruments. The finding notwithstanding, the committee is of the considered opinion that listing all the entities and undertakings in which government has interest under the second schedule of UDC Act 2016 would resolve the issue of misconception and would safeguard government interest in those undertakings and entities from being taken over by unscrupulous individuals. Contradiction in the LPO submitted by the factory management as opposed to those submitted by TEF. According to the local purchase orders submitted to the committee, by the management of the factory. TEFCO has never satisfied an LPO as the union supplies less than half of the LPOs issued by the factory. This leaves the committee in a state of confusion as to how farmers lack fruits to supply the factory, and yet the committee visited orchards and found fruits falling off trees and rotting. Further still, the factory claims to lack capacity. Therefore, how can one justify unfulfilled LPOs? This brings to the management of the factory into question, since it appears that they do not know the capacity of the factory. In fact, while appearing before the committee, the CEO could not answer questions as to the daily capacity of the factory. The fact that the factory claims to lack capacity but issues LPOs that have never been supplied in full since 2019 by the union brings the management into question. What we are trying to say, honorable members, we looked at all the LPOs since 2019. They always give TEFCO LPOs supply 150,000 tons, it supplies 30,000. They give it 90,000, it supplies 15,000. So they have never fulfilled the LPOs, which means the factory has the capacity as opposed to what they are telling us. But it is the union not supplying. However, the farmers have fruits, meaning the union is hoarding the supply to only people who subscribe to it. Observations of the committee: the failure of the unions to meet the LPOs given the factories since 2019 to date by even 50%, while fruits of individual farmers are rotting in the garden, is a clear indication that the union are blocking farmers from supplying their fruits in collaboration with the management of the factory. Soft. Unfulfilled financial obligations of Teso Farmers Cooperative Union. The petitioner, while appearing before the committee, alleged that TEFCO has no shares in Soroti Fruits Limited, since the cooperative association which subscribed to the articles of memorandum of association is different from the cooperative union. The findings of the committee: the committee finds that the memorandum of articles of association of Soroti Fruits Limited are subscribed to by UDC and Teso Tropical Fruit Growers Cooperative Society in cooperation of the share capital of Soroti Fruits Limited at incorporation. The share capital of Soroti Fruits Limited was 10 million Ugandan shillings, divided into 100 ordinary shares of Ugandan shillings, 100,000 only each. With the power to increase or reduce the capital, Article 6 of the shareholders agreement requires the parties to contribute to the initial funding requirement of the company and provide letters of comfort confirming that they shall take up offered shares equivalent to 80% and 20% respectively of the share capital. Observations of the committee: according to the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Soroti Fruits Limited for the year ending 30th June 2019, as at 30th June 2019, the company had been capitalized to the tune of 50.290 billion. Of this, UDC had invested 20.588019,000. That's 20.5 billion. However, there is no evidence to show that TEFCO has made any payment through the union, although the union alleges to have paid 2 million shillings as their initial contribution towards the share capital of the company. UDC informed the committee that whereas the MOU, Memorandum of Articles of Association, are subscribed to by the society has never evolved into a union, has since evolved into a union. 3, TEFCO is not contributing their fair share in the financial requirements of management of the Soroti Fruits Factory. The committee was not availed with evidence to show that UDC has ever called upon Teso Farmers Cooperative Union to make their fair contribution towards the management of the factory. 4, whereas the role of UDC is to hold government interests as the largest shareholder in the company, the corporation has failed in protecting government interests when it failed to call upon TEFCO to make their fair contribution towards capitalization of the factory. According to the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Soroti Fruits Limited for the year ending 30th June, the statement for comprehensive income indicated a deficit of 2.632653,000 billion. The Auditor General noted that this has an effect of reducing the net worth of the company and may erode the initial capital injection. Whereas Section 71 of the Companies Act 2012 provides for the power of a company limited by shares to alter its share capital, increasing its share capital by new shares for such an amount as it thinks expedient. Soroti Fruits Limited has not increased her share capital despite enormous investment by government through UDC into the fruits factory. Section 14 of the Companies Act 2012 urges private companies to, at the time of registration of its articles of, or subsequently adopt or incorporate into its articles the provisions of the Code of Corporate Governance contained in Table F of the Act, whereas where adopted, annex a copy of the table to its articles of association and annually file a statement of compliance with the Registrar and Capital Markets Authority. According to Article 11, the shareholder agreement between UDC and Teso Fruit Growers Cooperative Society, the company shall conform to the established principles of corporate governance as published by the Institute of Corporate Governance. 8, Soroti Fruits Limited has not adopted the principle of corporate governance. UDC, on behalf of Soroti Fruits Limited and Teso Tropical Cooperative Union, undertook a contract to supply Fruits Factory at UGX 600 for a kilo of oranges and 700 shillings for a kilo of mangoes. This contract disadvantages farmer cooperatives which are not members of TEFCO. Since TEFCO is a shareholder in the company, it means to supply the factory, you must be a member of TEFCO. This is the union that allegedly has shares. The committee was astonished to discover that a shareholder, UDC, contracted another shareholder, TEFCO, to supply fruits to Soroti Fruits Limited company, in which they both hold interest. 11, there's a picture there. That is a picture of the meeting we had in Gweri Town Council. During an interaction with farmers in Gweri sub-county, the committee was informed by the community at both the plantations and in the meeting held in the trading center with the local community and local leaders that a double sack is taller than me. A double sack of oranges weighing about 120 kilograms is bought from the farmers by TEF at a major price between 15,000 to 20,000 without weighing it. TEF later sells the same bag of oranges to the fruits factory at 72,000 shillings. The committee observes that buying fruits from farmers without weighing them is exploitation of the highest order and could be the reason as to why some farmers have resorted to cutting down their orchards, while others have neglected the fruits to fall and rot in the orchards. The farmers are no longer, or the farmers no longer appreciate the value of the fruits. There are pictures there of the fruits rotting in the garden we visited. So unfortunately, it's not clear, but all those are orange fruits in Gweri sub-county at one of the plantations on the ground rotting. 13, the local leaders such as the Soroti District LC5 chairman had begun encouraging farmers to cut down their orange fruits plantations so as to plant other food crops that would help them survive. A case in point was Gweri sub-county where 90% of the land is used for orange fruit growing. 14, whereas government has invested 44.17 billion as of the financial year ended June 2021 and holds 80% shares in the factory, it is shocking that TEFCO, which has invested 2 million Ugandan shillings only, owns 20% shares of the company. Moreover, no evidence to date has been given to us to confirm the payment of the merger 2 million initial contribution capital. 15, there is no clear criteria through which TEFCO was selected as the most appropriate farmers cooperative to represent all the farmers in Teso sub-region in the fruits factory. This phenomenon has disadvantaged farmers that do not subscribe to TEFCO, this is the union, in various ways. For instance, farmers cannot supply fruit as individuals to the factory, and TEFCO supplies the lion's share in the factory. The committee was informed that out of the 109 fruit farmers cooperatives in Teso sub-region, only 59 subscribe to TEFCO, meaning a total of 50 cooperatives are not benefiting. 6.2, financial status of Teso Fruits Limited. The committee was concerned that government has so far invested in Teso Fruits Limited a total of 44.1 billion in addition to the COICA grant of $8 million. However, this has not yet yielded any profits, and this projects towards the fact that the factory may take longer period to sustain itself. The committee was informed that Teso Juice Factory is a startup yet capital intensive. It was certified by UNBS on October 2019 and went into the market in January 2020. Hence, it is now 2 years old in the market. Softy, like any other business, is expected to go through phases of a business cycle. Therefore, profitability may not be realized immediately in the first or second year of operation before a break-even is reached. The committee also received financial year 2020-2021 and observed the following. Maybe you can put up the graph so that I speed up. According to that graph, lower, according to that graph, the cost of sales, you can see it. The sales revenue increased from 166 million by June 2020 to 818 million collected by June 2021. The cost of sales increased from 1.35 billion to 2.285 billion by June 2021. And the rest, but what you can note is when you look at the profit, that is the loss in brackets. The loss is increasing. It was 6.5 before. As of financial 2021, it's now 6.8 billion. That is billion Ugandan shillings. The committee observed that Soroti was established to improve socio-economic welfare of the people of Teso sub-region. While the company has made losses in its first and second year of operation, the profit motivation should not override the social aspect as part of the objective at the core of this investment. Teso's quality concerns, honorable members, this was a very sensitive issue, and we thought we could leave it out, but it was the best at which we made some recommendations. The manual packaging of the juice at the final stage of production. UNBS certified Soroti on December 6, 2019, granting it permission to sell its juice. However, during the committee's visit, and we have visited this factory twice, let me just summarize this. What they are doing is at the final stage of production, they are using manual hands to seal the bottles. And the committee observed that while Soroti is in the last 2 years used the manual method to package its products, this system of processing is not sustainable as it slows down production, including other related risks like contamination.
Including COVID-19.
Even COVID. Inconsistency in the tests, the committee noted that during the manufacturing of the Teju juice, different types of mangoes with different tastes, different perishability, different scents are mixed together without rationing. If today they get a truck of apple mangoes, it's the juice they'll make, but they'll brand it the same. If they get a truck of, let's say, dodo or any other mango, so what happens is when you drink the two different juices, they are different tastes, but they are branded the same. So the committee observed that there is no formula by which this is being done by Soroti, thereby causing inconsistencies in tastes of Teju juice, which could affect the market of the produced juice. Analysis of government's investment in Soroti fruits, provision of fruits varieties, because some members said the varieties they have are not being bought by the factory. So we thought we could also analyze what government has been supplying through NADS. The committee received allegations from members of parliament and leaders of Teso that Soroti was rejecting some of the fruit varieties that were being bought by the farmers to the factory. The committee noted that the factory utilizes orange varieties that were largely promoted by NADS in 2001 and generally available in Teso sub-region. These varieties include Valencia, Hamlin, Washington, Navel. On the other hand, the committee was informed that the factory utilizes improved mango varieties, which are available in eastern and northern regions of the country. These varieties include Dodo, Kakule, Boribo, Zillet, Keith, Kent, Apple Mango, Bire, Tommy Atkinson, among others. The committee was informed that government through NADS and Operation Wealth Creation Interventions has distributed a total of 30,908,094 million citrus seedlings to farmers across the country in the last 5 years, from financial 2016-2017 to financial 2020-2021, at a total expenditure of 102.690 billion. Out of the total seedlings, 5,109,258 million seedlings, equivalent to 16.949 billion, have been distributed in the 10 districts of Teso sub-region. Similar, government has been buying fruits, orange and mango fruit seedlings at about 3,300 shillings. Government has distributed a total of 26.642 million mango seedlings to farmers across the country in the last 5 years. A total of 3.201632 million mango seedlings have been distributed in Teso sub-region and at a total value of 10.493 billion. The observations of the committee: the only mango varieties not taken up by the factory are the traditional mango, which are said to have a lot of fiber, which requires several systems to clean. 2, mangoes are mainly sourced outside Teso sub-region because available mango varieties in Teso contain fiber and cannot easily be processed by the mango line. Some members said the factory is getting fruits as far as Kenya, as far as Kasese. So this was their justification. Whereas oranges are predominantly grown fruits in Teso sub-region, the factory found it economically viable to invest in a mango line. So we are saying the factory invested more in a mango line, yet the people of Teso are planting more oranges. And this is probably why the farmers are disgruntled or discouraged. However, the factory justifies that they went into a mango line because they needed a fast-moving product and the mango juice would move faster. So this was the committee's observation. Provision of motorized spray pumps. This was also raised by one of the area members of parliament. The government of Uganda, through UDC, procured and delivered 240 motorized spray pumps in specific knapsack spray pumps for Soroti Fruits Limited at a total contract sum of 528 million. Following a concern of farmers in Teso sub-region that lacked effective plant protection equipment for effective pest and disease management. According to the contract for the supply and delivery of 240 pieces of motorized spray pumps of Soroti Fruits Limited, UDC and N2M Company Limited, UDC contracted a company known as N2M Company Limited. The point of delivery was Soroti Fruits Limited factory premises. The committee of 20th September 2018, 240 motorized spray pumps were taken out of the factory premises by the leadership of the second shareholder known as TEFCU, and this makes it clear that the pumps were delivered to the factory premises as required in the contract. The committee established that TEFCU undertook an irregular process in which the union devised a distribution plan which involved charging farmers an extra 200,000 per pump payable to a board to the board of the Teso Farmers Cooperative Union. TEFCU also identified host farmers to which the primary cooperatives were to pay 5,000 Ugandan shillings, and the host farmer was required to surrender an uncertain percentage to the leadership of the primary union. I'll take you to the observations to save time. The decision of TEFCU to charge stock sale farmers a fee amounting to 200,000 Ugandan shillings per pump was unjustifiable and irregular, and that the pumps which were procured by the government of Uganda should have been received by farmers at no charge. The total cost of 240 motorized spray pumps was 528 million. This means that each spray pump was valued at 2.2 million, which was way higher than the average market price of these knapsack spray pumps, which is approximately 700,000 shillings as established by the committee during an open market survey in the different container shops in Container Village. So the committee went to Container Village and visited 3 shops, and the average price, some were selling them at 600, some 700, was 700, which was the highest. And the picture of the pump is there as well. Whereas these pumps were supposed to benefit all farmers, only the farmers that were registered under the union benefited, therefore disqualifying those that are not registered by the union from benefiting from the government facility. The pumps were delivered at the factory premises without distribution and beneficiary guidelines. The pumps were officially handed over by the Ministry of Trade. The pumps were found to be defective and of poor quality. It is reported that several pumps had broken down in the first month of use. This was during our meeting with the cooperatives. The pumps were too few to benefit the farmers in the region. In some districts, it was reported that only 4 pumps were given. And lastly, the impact of Soroti Fruits on the Teso sub-region and the country. Importation of concentrate. Some people say the factory is importing concentrate. Interact with URA to establish the facts. During the interaction with Softy, there were allegations that the factory was involved in importation of concentrates and fruits from neighboring countries. URA informed the committee that since January 2020 to date, the factory has imported majorly sugars for industrial use with total volumes of 60.080 kilograms recorded, 40.080 kilograms were imported in 2021 and only 20,000 kilograms for the year 2020. So URA submitted the list of all those importing concentrates, but we thought it would not be necessary to put them here. But on that list, TEFCO was not among. Soroti Foods Factory was not among those. Observation, the information provided by URA that Softy is not involved in the importation of concentrates and fruits in the country. General recommendations, the committee makes the following recommendations. Teso Farmers Cooperative Union refunds to all the farmers the money amounting to 200,000 that was charged per pump, or be prosecuted for extortion, obtaining money by false pretense, corruption, theft, among others. 2, the supply of fruits be opened up to other organized farmer groups and individuals to eliminate the monopoly of TEF. So we're recommending they terminate the contract. UDC gifted another shareholder to be the only supplier of the fruits. 3, the committee recommends that a fully constituted board of 5 members be appointed with immediate effect, as opposed to the current interim board consisting of 3 members who served over 2 years on interim basis. 4, the IGG should investigate the CEO, Mr. Ndaula Douglas, and the entire management of Soroti Foods Factory for possible inflation of the costs of operation and other related expenditures in the financial year 2020-2021. For instance, the public relations and advertisements costs incurred 772 million to generate an annual sales revenue of 818 million. This implies that he spends about 60 million every month to generate 68 million. And there were other costs. For example, they procured a borehole at 140 million and others. So we are just recommending the IGG to investigate the entire management. Government, 5, government should immediately avail the factory with funds to purchase a weight bridge, which has cost the farmers enormous losses, as the current system takes 2 hours to offload a 10-ton truck, 2 extra hours to do the sorting and manual weighing using 10 staff. Therefore, farmers whose produce go bad as a result of this delay are forced to dispose of their produce at their own cost. So they don't have a weight bridge, they must carry off the sacks, measure manually, and during that process, fruits go bad, and the factory just sends away those fruits. And actually, some were dumped in a swamp. During our first meeting, we discovered some fruits were dumped in the swamp. Government should provide the factory with funds to procure an orange fruit processing line for the processing of oranges, which are predominantly grown by the farmers in Teso sub-region. 7, UDC should terminate the contract between UDC and TEFCO, where a shareholder gifted another shareholder with another contract to monopolize and supply fruits. 8, the enforcement of separation of power, so that there is a clear distinction between the management of UDC and TEFCO in order to foster good corporate governance, as stated in the shareholder agreement. 9, the committee recommends a forensic audit into the management and execution of the contracts for the provision of the perimeter wall and roadworks, service and supplies to Soroti Foods Factory. 10, the 20% shares in Softy allegedly owned by TEF should be opened up to other farmer cooperatives and unions in Teso sub-region for subscription and acquisition of interest in the company. Because we discovered up to now, TEFCO does not have a certificate, therefore it does not legally have the shares. So we are recommending they open up that 20% to other cooperatives to also subscribe. 11, the Ministry of Agriculture should provide genuine pesticides to citrus fruit farmers, provide advisory services and research focusing on disease and pest control and more improved varieties. 12, all the staff, starting with the CEO, should have their contracts reviewed and given performance contracts so as to attain the strategic objectives of the establishment. 13, the project manager, Masiko Jude Bender, in charge of the contract for completion of a perimeter wall and construction of Maram Road, be investigated with a view of prosecution on allegation of causing financial loss. 14, NADS should carry out a census in regards to the seedlings they have distributed throughout the country with a view of ascertaining the impact of NADS contribution to the agriculture sector. 15, the Auditor General should carry out a value for money audit into the management of Soroti Fruits Limited and report back to Parliament. 16, the second schedule of UDC Act 2016 is amended to list all the entities and undertakings in which the government interest is held by UDC. 17, the nomenclature of the shareholders in Soroti Fruits Limited should be clarified to avoid any ambiguity in prescribing for liabilities and assets of the company, as well as understanding the actual subscribers to the Articles of Memorandum of Association of the company. 18, in order to grow the company and ensure Soroti Fruits Factory meets the demand of the farmers, all shareholders should make their fair contribution towards the capitalization and administration costs of the company. 19, UDC, being the major shareholder in Soroti Fruits Limited, should incorporate corporate governance in the management of the company so as to ensure that government commercial interests in the company are secured. 20, Software should be given funds to procure a fully mechanized packaging line to improve efficiency and effectiveness of production. This packaging line will save the issue of packing manually and also the sorting. 21, and lastly, the various officers from the Office of the Solicitor General who cleared the contracts in contention, believed to have caused financial loss, be investigated with a view of prosecution. We had different names. Actually, there were 4 different officers from the Office of the Solicitor General clearing contracts for the same work, but at different times.
Who are they? The Hansard is capturing. I want the names to be mentioned.
I am going to provide those names, right, Honorable Speaker. Yeah.
Honorable members, as he looks for the names in the VIP gallery this afternoon, we have a delegation from the Parliament of Zimbabwe. We have Honorable Pupurai, Government Chief Whip of Zimbabwean Parliament. Welcome. We have Honorable Mpara, Opposition Chief Whip of the National Assembly. Honorable TC, Government Chief Whip, that is for the Senate. Government Chief Whip, National Assembly. We have Mrs. Lucia, that is Assistant Clerk. Welcome. We have Miss Evelyn Masara, Committee Clerk. Welcome. And then we have Mr. Munogwa, ADC to the Chief Whip. You're most welcome. This is Parliament of Uganda. And while here, feel at home. Most welcome. Still in the VIP gallery this afternoon, we have the Right Reverend Raphael Pomon Wakoraj, Bishop of Nebi Catholic Diocese. Our Bishop, you're most welcome and thank you for coming. He's the main celebrant in today's Ash Wednesday Mass, that is ushering in the parliamentary community into the Lent season. You're most welcome. He's accompanied by Father Kenneth Onova and Brother Ochan from the Komboni Mission. Gillian, who has accompanied the team, and our own Father Ponciano Kawesa, the chaplain. You're most welcome and thank you for coming to observe our proceedings. Welcome to your parliament. Thank you. And thank you for always praying for us. Thank you, Honorable Mpaka. Yes, Honorable Nathan.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. This report is very good. And our chairperson never read all parts. And if we go that for the hazard to capture it, I was going to read the procedure that it would be procedure right. That is as is looking for the names, because for me, the report which was lent to me by my Amran, I have the names. Wouldn't it be procedure right that this report, the entire report.
You have the names.
Yes, I have the names, but I don't want to
Even
read.
the chairman has got the names.
But what I was trying to raise that
yes,
the oral report be uploaded, be a record of the answered, because there are times where we told him just go for observations, and if you look at the entire report, it is a very interesting report which will really need to be diagnosed.
The report is uploaded and let it be part and parcel of the Hansard of Parliament. But we're waiting for the names only. Then you'll stand up again.
Thank you, Right Honorable. The first officer was Mrs. Nanziri F. She signed for and on behalf of the Solicitor General. The second officer was Miss Namagembe E, signed on behalf of the Solicitor General. The third officer was Nantongo H, who also signed on behalf of the Solicitor General for the same contract.
In conclusion, just wait for.
Yeah, Madam
Yes.
Speaker, when the chairman was reading names,
He said there were 4.
he didn't say the second name. I think, Madam Speaker, to be proper if both names are read for the record. I thank you.
Right Honorable, those were the initials on the
letters.
on the signed documents. So we do not have the other names.
But you had said there were 4 officers.
Yes, there is another officer for the road works. It's called Diamukama, also signed for. We have all the supporting documents. He has signed for and on behalf of the Solicitor General.
Okay. So can you conclude?
In conclusion, Soroti Fruits Limited was incorporated to add value to fruits that were abundantly underutilized to address the high post-harvest losses, provide market for the farmers' produce, and create employment opportunities along the value chain, thus increased and diversified household incomes with the Greater Teso sub-region. This objective is yet to be achieved, and the establishment should therefore be supported by all concerned stakeholders to ensure that the objectives of its establishment meet.
Thank you so much. The chair and the Committee of Tourism. This has been a very elaborate report and very enriching. I didn't know some things are still happening. When I hear from the report, then there is a problem. Honorable members, you've heard a report. Yes. And I am not going to allow any shoddy debate on this report. Whatever has been recommended, an action must be taken. Let these people be accountable. Yes.
Procedure.
Yes, procedure from Nathan.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to pick from your last statement that you don't want any shadow debate.
Shoddy.
Shadow, yes. Shadow. Okay, whatever.
Okay, have hazard debate.
It should be a conclusive debate.
Two, you have said you had not known that these things happen in this
Are
country.
still happening.
And are still happening. For us who come from the region, Teso, me and my Amran here, and this Amran, maybe if you came there, we also call you Amran. We want to request, it wouldn't be procedure right, that this report is here given a thorough time to be debated. And we go through it and we analyze it, and you give us a whole day.
You are right.
A whole day.
You are right.
Because UDC has so many issues.
There are many.
And recently we gave them 150 billion. We must deal with them. So wouldn't it be procedure right, Madam Speaker, that this report, we defer it up to Wednesday next week, because on Tuesday we're going for Women's Day. And we want peace between, because the names they have been reading are women. We don't want them to have a bad Women's Day. We want them to finish the Women's Day, then we deal with the matter. Madam Speaker, I beg.
Honorable members, we have the Prime Minister. First of all, Prime Minister, before even you speak, I want to thank you so much for coming and being in the House. It gives us the energy to debate and do everything in this House that government is here. Thank you so much, General, for coming. And please, can you respond to the request of Honorable Nathan?
Madam Speaker, I want to also thank you for being on top of the issues in the House. And since I came and sat here, I have really enjoyed the debate. I enjoy the debate. I also heard you say, Madam, that you are going to close at 5 sharp. I don't know whether I'm guilty,
The Prime Minister.
but I heard. I therefore want to, may I therefore, following that statement, advise that we debate this report on Tuesday.
Tuesday is a Women's Day, Wednesday.
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 Wednesday. We debate it on Wednesday. I'm going to move.
General, thank you. Is it seconded? General, please, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Whereas I agree with the proposal, Right Honorable Speaker, however, procedurally, it wouldn't be right for us as this Parliament, after the presentation of the report by the chairman of the committee, to listen to the petitioner who is in the House, Right Honorable Speaker, so that we go with a mind to debate the next time when we have
Honorable,
the mind that
Honorable
is together
Commissioner.
with each other.
Honorable Commissioner.
Right,
The
Right Honorable
petitioner.
Speaker, I was still driving my procedure matter, but I can sit.
Honorable Commissioner, the petitioner raised his issue. He went and presented his issue in the committee. Everything has been accommodated. This is a report of the House now. It is now our report. We only want to thank the petitioner for bringing it on board, but it's going to be a report of the House. We will debate. The amendment we can have is that all the ministers of trade tourism must be in the House when the debate is being undertaken, and the Minister of Finance.
Much obliged, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Yes,
Members so will debate this report exhaustively on Wednesday. On Wednesday, yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Chair. Madam Chair, save for the statements and the reports we don't have, do not have those attachments and authorities. It would be better if would be furnished with the attachments so that we debate from a point of knowledge, if they can be availed, if they can be uploaded, since it is now a public document.
Honorable Sechi, that is a problem of coming in. Sechi. That is what we agreed, that we upload. Honorable members, paper and not borrowing is just laying a paper.
Okay, item
And,
number 7, laying of papers.
These are books. Those are not the papers.
Madam Speaker, I beg to lay on the table the reports on 1, the semi-annual budget performance for the financial year 2021-2022, and number 2, the half-year macroeconomic and fiscal performance for the financial year 2021-2022. I beg to lay, Madam Speaker.
Please lay and is referred to the relevant committee.
Laying of papers, report of the delegation of the Committee of East African Community Affairs to the 21st East African Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Exhibition in Mwanza, Tanzania.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, as the judge comes to present another report, Right Honorable Speaker, we are concerned that there are reports that have taken ages and have failed to see the surface of the floor. The report on the Committee of Defense, Right Honorable Speaker, everybody has demanded for that report and it has failed to come out. So as you rule, Right Honorable Speaker, and as you give us those other dates, through your office, Right Honorable, could you kindly ask the chairperson of that committee also to get a date and present that report, Right Honorable?
I have also demanded for that report and have not seen it. So, Nyachi, please, in the next session, we should have the reports.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Right Honorable Speaker, most obliged.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay on table a report on the delegation of the Committee on East African Community Affairs to the 21st East African Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Exhibition held in Mwanza, Tanzania. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay.
Please lay. We'll start the report.
Right Honorable Speaker, if you would allow me 2 minutes, I would just make 2 statements on the report.
Please.
Right Honorable Speaker, the report that I've just laid is on a micro, small and medium enterprises trade fair, an activity of the EAC that is held annually and on a rotational basis among the East African community states, partner states.
Okay.
Right Honorable Speaker.
She's putting you on order.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, since we started today's sitting, Honorable Tibadi has been standing, whether deliberating or not, he's been standing. Is in order to proceed while standing throughout?
No, he has a medical problem. That's why he can't sit.
Thank you. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for your guidance. Right Honorable Speaker, I was informing the House, Right Honorable Speaker, that this trade fair is held on an annual basis within the partner states of the EAC. And the last one, the 21st one, was held in Mwanza, Tanzania. Right Honorable Speaker, this year in December 2022, Uganda is planned to host the same exhibition. However, Right Honorable Speaker, a serious concern is when we interacted with the Minister of EAC and the Minister of Trade, the two MDAs are supposed to co-host the event. It is an unplanned activity. A delegation that participated in this exhibition, Right Honorable Speaker, reported to the committee that the arrangement in Mwanza was a high-level standard. And yet, for us, when we are ready to host, we have it as an unplanned and funded priority. So it's a concern of the committee, Right Honorable Speaker, that the Ministry of Finance provides the required funding, which is already put in the recommendation in the report, so that the activity is held successfully come December this year. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Minister of Finance. Have you had a request from the committee?
Madam Speaker, I have had a request and I have had an engagement with the Committee on East African Affairs, and we are progressing very well, Madam Speaker.
You know why I am asking you that? We are not progressing well. Stop having side meetings with the committees. This house needs to be funded. And I will still remind you, I have this, I will lay on table, how you have written to the president saying we should not fund parliament. This is a letter which came today.
Madam Speaker, I need to clarify one point. The Committee on East African Affairs.
Let's handle all committees together, not selectively. It is about parliament.
Madam Speaker.
It is just one that is saying now we need money. Yes, my sick man.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, our rules are clear. The Speaker is listened to in silence. Madam Speaker, the Minister is still on the microphone as you are presenting and defending the House, but the Minister is still also presenting arguments against you, yet the rules are very clear. When a Speaker is on the microphone, she is listened to in silence. Is the Minister in order, Madam Speaker, to continue arguing with you, holding another microphone when you are speaking?
Honorable Musas used to be my chairman of a committee, so I think he's still imagining we are still in a committee. Yes, Sarah.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue of funding to Parliament. I recall last year, I think it was in November, when this matter was raised on the floor. The Minister of Finance, the Honorable Matia Kasaija, was here. And the Right Honorable Speaker, you made it categorically clear to Finance that Parliament's role, other than legislation, the other major function is oversight. Now, if you cut the budget of Parliament, how do you expect us to oversee what you are doing as the executive? So, Right Honorable Speaker, is the Honorable Minister in order to even waste time here talking about this matter? They should go or either retract their letter, Madam Speaker, or come back to this House and tell us about funding to Parliament. Because we are an oversight committee, unless they want to tell us that Parliament is not necessary during this time. So, Right Honorable Speaker, Is it in order for the minister to get to the microphone? You have said you're going to lay the table. It is in black and, lay the letter on table. It's black and white, it is in black and white written. So is it in order for the minister to waste our time talking about this matter? Right,
Honorable
Thank you.
Ministers, Finance, stop spoiling our good president. You're spoiling our good president by writing to him not to finance. You should know we are an arm of government, the other arm of government. So if you have issues, let's discuss between an arm of government to an arm of government, not misleading our president. And he's a member of the commission. Why wouldn't he raise it in the commission meeting? Next paper. Members, since we are going to debate those other papers on Wednesday, and we have other documents tomorrow, and I know everybody is tired, especially General Ali, and we must thank you really for coming. We therefore adjourn the House to 2 tomorrow. Thank you.